Hi, welcome. It's time for another talk for, or how can I say it? Another talk in my series, A Woman for Women series that I'm doing. I am Susan Maud Buchser-Lochocki, or Susan for short, and I am going to focus on just women today, girls and women, and about accepting ourselves and becoming who we want to be. So, anyway, welcome. I want you to know that you are perfect just the way you are. Everything about you was meant to be exactly how it is. I don't know a lot of women who have had plastic surgery, but I'm going to say that some of the women I see regret having it done, especially if it's on their faces. So, first off, I want to say be careful if you go that route, because a lot of the doctors are in it just for the money. And whether they do a good or a bad job, they're going to get money. So, there are a lot of doctors, I believe, that are out there to do harm to women and girls. So I think you want to be careful, because you were made perfectly. Unless you have severe difficulties, you should not change your body in any way, shape, or form. Aging is perfectly natural. It's honorable. Getting wrinkles is part of life, and it makes you who you are. They're an honor to have, but you also want somehow the right wrinkles. So don't forget to smile sometimes and laugh. I know sometimes life is not so funny and not so friendly, but do your best. And try to take it easy. Don't be in the sun too much for your skin so that you don't get wrinkles early. And also wind if you're outdoors a lot. Be sure to cover your face as much as possible. But, if you're on a sailboat, you're probably going to also maybe get wrinkles earlier than others. So, I think, beauty starts from the inside. So you have to get yourself in a good place. And I also noticed around me there's people who have envy. And instead of being envious, try being inspired. When you see somebody doing something or something that you like, don't be envious of it. Be inspired by it. Be inspired to bring then change to your life so that maybe you can do whatever. Or if you see something you like and you're like, oh, I wish I thought of that, always thinking of things is not the most important thing. It's community, it's leadership, it's friendship. Those things are more important than having always the best ideas. So it's also okay to enjoy that others have had a good idea and be inspired by it to bring your own ideas and to try them. Now, with that said, there are also a lot of people out there who are envious and who may take your idea then, your inspiration that you had or have, and they might try to take it for themselves. So, there are different people out there with not always the best intentions. So, you need to just be you and do what you can and do your best to leave the world better. So don't be like those people. Don't be envious. Be inspired. Even if you might feel some envy coming on, like, oh, she got a promotion and I didn't, and you want to be envious. Try not to be. There's reasons why things happen to people, and sometimes a blessing might turn out to be a curse later. So if you want to improve in business or whatever, get a promotion, then use that to get inspired to do what it might take to get a promotion, if that's what you want to do. With all of that said, I think, when I was growing up, it was important, if you wanted a family, that you had to get married. And I was raised in a strict Catholic upbringing, and you just didn't have babies if you were not married. It was just absolutely not acceptable. So if you are like me and you were stuck in that belief, especially during your childbearing years, and there's no good quality man coming around, I'm going to recommend you don't follow that rule. I'm going to recommend that if you are able, then go ahead and have a child or 2 or 3. Because I know religion can be very confining, and then right now the quality of men that are out there is not very high. And a lot of them, they don't even want to have children. They don't want to even have a job. So don't wait. Do what's in your heart. And if it means having a child without a husband around, it's okay. Our society is in such a place where they're always forcing and saying, oh, we have to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and we have to have lots of friends, and we have to be having fun all the time and going to bars and parties, and not getting invited to parties is very stressful. And I'm going to say, stop it. Just stop it. It's not necessary. You don't need a party. You don't need a lot of friends. You need 1 or 2. You need people you can respect and that respect you. And that's the most important thing. And whether they're men or women, it doesn't matter. Although if there's a man who is a friend of yours, he might be a friend because he's interested in you in a different way. And so eventually it might come out that he's in love with you or whatever. But because usually men don't stick around, or maybe he's gay. That could also be. But I think the most important thing is that if it's in your heart and you decide you want to have children and your clock is ticking, there is this ticking that happens with women, you can do one of 2 things. You can get pregnant and have the embryos frozen, but that costs money. Or you can just get pregnant and go ahead and become a mom. Now, today there is a lot of, I think, help out there. I mean, I don't think it's great quality in the USA, This is especially for USA women, girls, and women, because in other countries they have better maternity care and maternity leave and all sorts of things. So that is absolutely possible in other countries. However, in the USA, it's right now, I think welfare and whatever WIC and all these other programs, I don't know how great they are. There is some support, but it's not fantastic. So it depends on you and your lifestyle and what you are expecting if you become a mother. But it is doable. I know women who are doing it, so it is possible. And this is something no one ever told me as a child growing up in the 80s. I was told to get out and get a job, and, children are not important. And, well, it was also, we were nuclear issues were going on between Russia and the USA and whatnot. So there were other factors, although now we have these same issues again, where nuclear bombs are, being talked about, and the fear of a nuclear war was very real then, and it's becoming more real now again. A lot of women were choosing not to have children because, we didn't want to bring them into that world. But I'm going to say that one of the best things in life that you can do is become a mother, is to give birth. But you need to do it the proper way. There's some new ways coming out now, so make sure you look into different ways of birthing so you have a wonderful experience. But we are still pushing a lot of women into the workforce, when what the workforce wants from women, because it's still very much dominated by men, is they want a docile woman who's just gonna, be a paper pusher and a secretary. That's really what they want. They don't want you to succeed. You're not gonna fit in with the boys, so you don't have to even try, because really it doesn't work. The men just don't want women around in higher positions. They don't want to take instructions from you. They're very male-oriented still. And I want to say one thing, too, that I realized is that a lot of men get promoted because, this may or may not be a shocker, because they sleep their way to the top. So it is perfectly normal in society everywhere that men are actually bisexual. And they want one woman to be their woman, but then they have many boyfriends. And they have no problem sleeping their way to the top. So this is something I've discovered also recently. So anyway, you need to know these things, and that's why I'm telling you. And I'm trying to get as much information out so that you ladies listening have a chance at making good choices in your life, making choices at work for you. And in my day, nobody ever sat me down and talked to me like this. So I'm doing it because it's needed. And I know a lot of your mothers probably aren't doing it either. So I'm trying to just provide the necessary information to make good decisions in your life. And the most people I talk to say, and I have to admit that Giving birth in the USA and giving birth in other countries is two different things currently, and it shouldn't be this way. But I've heard so many horror stories about giving birth in the USA. So giving birth in like Europe is a good place to do that, because they take care of the mother and the baby very well. And in the US, I've heard really bad stories. So on the other hand, there are these special places you can go to give birth, birthing rooms or whatever, and then they have things like a doula and a midwife who are coaches for the birthing process and everything, and they will be your voice when you can't speak for yourself because you're busy birthing. So look into getting those if you decide to birth and become a mother sooner than later or whatever. So things are changing in the US. But back when I was having children in the early 2000s, it was a different story. So, yeah, I don't know if it's really changed that much. But anyway, and I don't want to discourage you. I know that was discouraging, but I think you want honesty. And that's what I'm trying to do, is be honest. So yeah, I've met a lot of older women, and I will say most of them are mothers, and most of the mothers that I know, even ones who have powerful careers and stuff, they always say the best day of their life was when their child was born. And having children has been so fulfilling in so many people's lives. So many of these women, and even some men, it's really really important. And I think today they're still pushing the concept of get that career first and then have children. And what that does is you start becoming successful and then suddenly you're 30. And then you have to decide, well, do I want to continue with success or do I want to have children? And oftentimes you decide to have children. So then you're out of the workforce for a good, 10 years, maybe 20 years, and you'd go to get back in and you're so far behind, you cannot gain momentum again. So by taking that baby break, it destroys your career basically. And the men are happy because, another woman out of their league, so, less competition. And then now that you are trying to get back in and you don't know anything about what's going on in the industry anymore, then you're back as a secretary again, pretty much. So I'm going to say it mostly happens that way. Not always. There are women who can prove me wrong, but for the most part, that is what happens. So I recommend having children early. And while you're doing that, you can slowly get an education. And maybe there's even funds out there for mothers getting an education. So maybe you can get your thing paid for. Now, I don't know, some of you know that I'm also a presidential candidate, and I want to actually pay you to be mothers. But since I'm not in office, I can't say it's going to happen. But I'm doing my best to bring that change so that you get paid to be a mother. So I'm hoping that comes in the near future, and then problem is completely solved. But until then, we're living in the now, and this is the situation now. So the situation now is that the quality of men is low. And men are teaching men to not get married, to not be responsible, to not rush into anything. You don't need a wife. You don't need any of that. And that's fine. But that's what we're up against. So As a young woman coming up, if you are religious and you think you need a man first and then children, it doesn't always work that way. And then you find yourself at 40 and you don't have a lot of your eggs left and you never froze them and all, So rather than get into the medical part of birthing process, just when you have your eggs, go ahead and have your children. Plus, they're going to be there then. For a longer time in your life, you get to enjoy them for longer. And kids are great. You're going to want to enjoy them. So, I recommend having them early and getting your education during that time. It might take you, 10 years to get your master's in whatever, but it doesn't matter because you were raising kids while you were getting your education, and now you're done and you have a high education perhaps, and then you can go and get these great jobs, and then your career doesn't have a pause in it, and then you can just keep moving forward as you get older, rather than starting out, getting to a certain career level and doing well, and then suddenly you drop down and become a mother, and then, not that motherhood is a drop down, but you drop out of your career path. Then you're someplace else. So it's anyways difficult to figure out what career you want in the first place. So instead of stressing out over that, while you still know all the children's songs and all the children's movies and everything, just go ahead and move into motherhood. Raise your kid and slowly come up with your piece that you want to do, what you want to bring to the world, how you want to leave the world better. And there, it can be many things, it can be anything. There's so many possibilities. But by doing it this way, then you have more time to really figure it out. And maybe you decide, well, you know what, I want to have 50 kids. They're so much fun. So then you spend, every year you have a child. But if you decide that at 40, then it's a little too late. But so I want to give you the knowledge and wisdom of the women I've talked to. And I have never met a woman who regrets having a child. Never met one. In fact, most women will say the best thing they ever did was raise a child. Even if they're powerful women in career positions, children are the best things that we do. They're amazing. The other part of that is that if you have a child and you send it to daycare and you go back to work, you're not really watching your child grow. Somebody else gets those joys. And is that really necessary? Is that what you want for you and your child? You want a mother-child bond, but it's difficult to have when somebody else is really being the mother. So I recommend that you have children with or without a marriage, with or without a man. You can do it by yourself. There are many women who have. And what you probably need to do is start doing your research on how to get pregnant and how to be pregnant and what's safe, and start collecting money and, putting money in the bank, and then start getting yourself organized so that you can do this and learn about labor. Get yourself a doula and maybe a midwife and see. Get some education on what happens to the body, whether you find it online or go to classes or go to Zoom classes or something. There are all sorts of possibilities today. So that's what you want to do. and then do the miraculous thing of having a child. And during that period of time, then you can plan your next career moves. So this is, I know it's completely a reversal of what they're telling you out there. And, I'm a very independent woman, always have been. So it's, and, it's just, I don't want any more women to be trapped into places they don't want to be trapped into. And the society is still business is still very much, and education is still very much organized for the benefit of men. And a lot of women are not talking about this, but it's the truth. So I'm just giving you advice and warning and letting you know what is really happening and what's worth doing in your life. So that's being a mother is a beautiful thing. It is also a career, and I recommend it for all women, and I recommend becoming a father for all men. So the other thing that I can say, it seems that men, especially in our current society, especially in the USA and probably places like Australia and South Africa, is that men are being raised to be wild. Now, I know this is not new news, but it is a little bit new news because now men are recommending to other men to, you don't have to marry somebody, you can be single your whole life, be a playboy basically, and, bachelor. So men are being encouraged to do that. So then they're behaving badly on purpose. And then they're also, I noticed some men like to do testing to see what a woman will accept. So put your standards higher. You don't have to have low standards. And even if he's really cute and has the best voice and really good kisser, keep your standards high. Set limits. Set boundaries. He will respect you more if you have some. Don't be always available. And don't always be hanging out by his side at every event. That's for when you're married. That's for when, you're really in a committed relationship, not just boyfriend and girlfriend. Even if it is that's up to you. Being a caretaker for a man is a full-time job. So if you want to be a wife and, a stay-home wife, there is that option too. But that is also a job. And you need to be paid for it properly. So, boundaries. Respect yourself. Definitely. Be careful who or where you drink. I recommend drinking, if you're going to have a glass of wine, having it in public, it's so expensive anyways. It's best to do it at home or at a friend's house, or if you're out at a hotel or something. But if you're going to be driving or using public transportation and drinking, I don't recommend it. Because you're not at your strongest then. And then also, men are quite aggressive, especially some of the men nowadays who are foreigners in a foreign land. They have different ideas about what women should be like, and they can be quite aggressive. So again, I'm just giving you information to use your brain when it comes to drugs. or alcohol. I mean, alcohol is a drug. So just be careful. Yeah. But I was saying that it seems that men finally settle down when they're in their 40s. They finally tried everything that they always wanted to try. And they've fooled everybody, and then they were fooled themselves, and they've been burned, and they're finally tamed, basically, sometime in their 40s. And then they're really actually ready to be good husbands, good fathers, good partners. Until then, a lot of men are just too wild. So there are some that are good. I won't say all men. I will say most men. So, yeah. And then there are some that are gay and like to lead women on to take advantage. So be careful of that too. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know what kind of, this is sort of the everything speech from a mother. Yeah. I just, I worry. I've just been meeting all kinds of people lately, and I see the things that they're doing, the men are doing to women, and I don't like it. I don't like it. We can do so much better than what we're doing, and better men can be really produced. I really, yeah, I don't know what's going on. I guess maybe I should make some videos for men too. But men should take care of men. So yeah. But I get it. I mean, we're all young once, and we don't have a lot of experiences. So then we want to have experiences, right? And it takes a while. And I mean, I know there are lots of women who are also quite irresponsible or don't respect themselves. And if you're one of them, think about it. You may want to change a little bit what you're doing. But, we're all here together on the planet. And there are men and women, and there's intersex people, so people who are neither man or woman, they're in the middle somewhere. And we have to get along, and we have to share the world. So we can do it where we're all at each other's throats and we're all hating each other and we're all being evil to each other. We can. That could be one reality. But I recommend that we work together as a team and a community, and that we leave the world better. That's what this video is about. That's what this series is about. Leaving the world better by giving women the news and information they need to make happy and healthy choices. So, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I'm still working on getting to be, president so I can bring the change, and then we can move forward. What you need to know is I am past menopause, supposedly, but occasionally I still have ovulation. So it's happened at least 4 times since I've gone into menopause. And I'm 59. So that's another thing you need to know, that menopause doesn't mean you don't have eggs anymore. It just means things change for some reason and it works differently. So I don't know. I don't think we've had enough science done on females to find out how our bodies really work. So if you want to do science projects and research on how fertility works, I would welcome that. It's a good idea. All right. So I'm going to end here. And I just want to say thank you. Thanks for joining in. I know it was a little bit everywhere, but I had a lot to tell you. So I'll see you, I guess, next month on the 8th, and I'll give you some more insights, or maybe the same insights. We'll see. But yeah, so set your boundaries, respect yourself first, and think about maybe doing things other than what our general society is telling us to do. And most importantly, enjoy your life. You've only got one, and you should have fun. Okay, so thank you. I am Susan Maud Buchser-Lochocki. If you want to find out more about me and what I'm doing, it's susan4usa.com. That's Susan, the number 4, usa.com. All right. I wish you a nice day wherever you are. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel or page or whatever. And I'll see you around soon. Bye for now.